Episode 291. Where is Lila Cox? You can come often in the future. Serena scraped the surface of the tea with the lid. Her hand was slightly shaking as she spoke. The children were just complaining a few days ago that you don't come to see them often enough. And I happen to want to learn shooting. Then she looked up at Charlie. Can you teach me? Of course. Charlie immediately agreed, a little excited. Camilla looked at Serena, a bit dazed. 4 years later, her daughter had grown up a lot. In the past, she had tender and round cheeks, and now her face was more angled with a mature and capable look. The way she talked and handled things were just impeccable. Had she accepted them finally? Camilla was in happy tears, but no one said anything. After drinking tea and eating some snacks, Serena took an air gun and handed it to Charlie. In the large backyard, there was a target left by Keith which had never been thrown out. This air gun was also Keith's. After Serena drove the children away to their room, she and Charlie started to practice. The air gun was much lighter than a real one, and it was automatically loaded. Serena and Charlie were practicing how to aim. Charlie was famous for his aim among the troops. Almost all his shots hit the bullseye without much deviation. Serena's accuracy, however, almost made Charlie laugh. The way you shoot? Fortunately, there's no one behind the target, otherwise there will be an accident. It's just an air gun, not a real one. Serena didn't care, holding the gun to aim at the target. Jeremy and Seth had already put the model car together, and Julianne was playing with the doll with her left hand and the car with her right hand in the room, having a lot of fun. The two little boys were kneeling at the door, looking into the backyard. Their eyes were shining. The two little boys were coveting the gun in Serena's hands, their eyes filled with desire. Charlie had already noticed them. He took the gun from Serena and said, Although the air gun is not a real gun, it can cause a lot of damage. In the past, many hunters like to use this to hunt some large animals, such as wild boars and a bison. If a man was hit in a vital part, he could be killed. Then, Charlie looked into the direction of the two little guys with serious warning. Especially children should never touch it. It's too dangerous. Serena noticed the two little guys sneaking there and smiled, giving them a warning stare. Got it, grandfather. Jeremy stood up and asked, But what is a vital part? A vital part is the most vulnerable part in the human body, such as neck, the brain, and the heart. If these places are hit by an air gun, the man will be hurt. He put the air gun away and went forward to drive away the children. Don't stay here. Your mother is quite bad at this. If she missed the target and hurt you, it will be no good. Jeremy laughed loudly and Serena blushed and stomped her foot. Not that serious. How can I hit them at a 90-degree angle? Seth heard it and felt rather satisfied. Your mother. Was she his mother as well? The merger between Cox Enterprises and the Robinson Group had become well known. The fact that Keith Robinson personally signed the contract was a sensation in the industry. Spencer Cox was followed by her bodyguard when she handed over the signed contract. Keith took it and read it carefully. In his mind, the message from Jay was a reminder. There is a hidden loophole in the contract. Do not leak that when signing it. You can use it for your benefit in the future. Secret loophole. Keith's eyes deliberately stayed on the precautions for a long time. Spencer stared at his eyes closely for fear of missing any of his expressions. In the end, Keith only scanned the breach of the contract part for a few seconds. The few lines of text made him suddenly understand what Jay meant. It turned out that it was indeed drawn up in a Jake Robinson style. Sly and insidious. Keith could basically confirm now that Jay was Jake, and the person who had drafted this document was definitely his brother as well, although he felt a myriad of emotions. His face remained calm. As he read the entire document, the time spent on the breach of the contract was the shortest. Keith took out his own pen, quickly signed and stamped the document with the seal of the Robinson, and exchanged the copies with Spencer. The two companies formally announced their collaboration. Keith and Spencer finally shook hands and the two nodded at each other. Just when the two were about to part ways, his phone rang. Spencer's gaze was always on him, so she saw the sudden change of his expression. In a flash, there was incredible joy on his calm face. He blurted out incredulously, "You found Lila?" Spencer heard the words and her heart suddenly shrank. The bodyguard behind her also had his heart in his throat. Vigilantly, he moved in front of Spencer. However, Keith's eyes did not fall on Spencer at all. He calmly commended, "Be sure to find her, whether she is in Bhutan or Japan." Bhutan? Japan? Spencer exchanged a look with the bodyguard and both of them suddenly felt relaxed. It seemed that they had the wrong person. Keith said a few more words and then hung up on the phone. Turning around, he apologized to Spencer. "Sorry, I still have other business to tend to, and must go first." "Of course." Keith immediately left. Spencer sneered behind him and walked out slowly. She headed to her house and went to the basement immediately. When Carlito saw her come, he opened the door for her. Layer after layer, the place was heavily guarded, and in front of the only exit, there were 4 surveillance cameras installed. There was no blank spot. 4 bodyguards were always around at the same time, and even if the person inside has 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be impossible for him to escape. Except for Lila, the only other person who had any authority to change anything was Carlito, the loyal servant who had been with the Cox family for 10 years. Lila was very satisfied with her move, nodded and said sympathetically, "Carlito, you haven't taken a holiday in a very long time. Do you want some time off?" Hearing that, Carlito looked touched, but he shook his head and said, "No. Where can I possibly go? My wife has left me. My son died. My only entertainment is that injured lion inside whom we're training. Nothing else can make me happy."